I know that we can't protect our kids from everything, and you would have done all you possibly could to have made the house feel safe and full of love. But life happens. And in 2015, you were diagnosed with breast cancer. I mean, as a mother, as a woman, anyone being diagnosed with cancer is a huge thing. But obviously, you've got these 2 children. You want to see them grow up. You think about how you're going to tell them, how that's going to affect their lives when you've made it such a secure place. I mean, take me back to when you were first diagnosed, although I know you knew it was breast cancer.
Yes, because there wasn't really anything else it could be, having Googled it. But you still have to wait for confirmation. So I was 45, 46, which is relatively young in breast cancer terms. Ollie was 11 and Joe was 8, so primary school. Ollie just finished year 6. It was the summer holidays, July 31st, 2015. And the doctor confirmed it. And it obviously, even though I knew it was coming, it was a massive blow. And I remember it being so hot and gorgeous and summery. It was the school holidays, and this contrast between this traumatic news and England being gorgeous in the summer, and just crying on Mark's shoulder. And I had this, I am an optimist. The glass is always half full. But I had this thing inside me about, okay, this is probably it. This is probably it. I don't know why I thought, my luck's run out or whatever. Anyway, it takes weeks, as you know, to go through all the tests and to find out if your cancer is treatable or it's going to kill you. So we didn't tell the boys until we had that news, and thank God my cancer was going to be treatable. And that's the point at which we told them. As I said, Ollie 11, Joe 8, brought them in the kitchen, kept it all relatively upbeat.
Well, your friend Nat had breast cancer a couple of years before.
Correct.
So they'd seen it.
And I said, do you know that thing that Natalie had? She had breast cancer. Well, I've got that as well, and I'm going to have an operation, and I'm going to have some nurses and doctors are going to treat me, and it's going to take a few months, and then it'll all be over. And I remember them... Joe, because he was younger, was this gorgeous, bonny, blonde-haired, smiley self, and was like, okay. And Ollie, I felt like I saw a sort of shadow across his face because he was a bit older. They knew the word cancer. Kids know. Kids, I think, broadly speaking, associate cancer with death. So it was really clear to us that we had to make it clear that this was treatment, get through it, all fine on the other side. And we did that. And then they said, right, can we go and play football in the garden? Literally, as kids do, which was great. So we thought, great. And then that night, when I was reading to both of them before they went to sleep, Ollie said to me, are you angry you've got cancer? And I said, actually, I'm not, because I don't want to waste. Anger is a really destructive emotion, and I don't want to waste that energy on being angry. And he said, well, I am. I'm angry. You've got cancer. And I said, I totally get that. I totally get it. If we can, let's use the energy we've got to sort of be really positive and really optimistic, and I'll take you into the hospital and you can meet the nurses, which we did all that. So yeah, it was definitely stressful for them, definitely. And I remember the last night before I was having my last chemo, I said to Joe, how's it been for you? And he cried and he said, it's been stressful. And that broke my heart because I've imposed that upon them. Obviously not my choice, but I felt heartbroken that they'd had to experience that. And they'd had to grow up a bit as primary school kids, you know. But broadly speaking, they were amazing because they followed that. I feel like they followed a pragmatic approach from Mark and I.
It's a really difficult thing to navigate as well, because you know that by not telling them things, they will fill in the gaps anyway. So you want to be able to sort of not control the narrative, but give them enough information so that there aren't those gaps that they're filling in.
And we've always done that. We're open. We tell the truth. We encourage, they're really good at asking questions. I don't know if that's because Mark and I are journalists, but they are. They're curious. They ask stuff. They want to know. We took them into the chemo ward. They could see that the radio's on and it's bright and the nurses are funny and human and normal. And, they came with me for scans and they talked to this amazing Greek doctor about Greece winning the Euros and stuff like just we normalised it as much as we could.
It must be a really difficult thing, though, to stay positive and upbeat with your children when you are scared.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that period where you don't know what's going to happen, I don't know how we did it. I don't know. I mean, I was still going to work, which was a great distraction. It was the summer holidays, so I actually can't remember what our childcare scenario was, but clearly we were making it work like loads of parents have to in the summer holidays. Yeah, I don't know. I think we had a lot of love and support from family and our close best friends who live near us, who did a lot of the taking them to cricket and all that kind of stuff,
Before your mastectomy, you wrote them letters. I
did. I had this really weird anxiety. Maybe it's rational that I wasn't going to wake up after the anaesthetic. So I wrote each of them like a goodbye letter in case I didn't wake up. I know, obviously I was going to wake up because a million people have anaesthetic every day and wake up, but that was the thing that was making me most nervous. It wasn't losing a breast. That was fine. Get the cancer out. Like, what if I don't see my boys again? So I wrote them letters, which I put in my bedside drawer. Mark knew where they were in case that would happen. And it was just, I mean, obviously it was how much I loved them, but it was, and please remember your manners, and will you make sure you're kind to people? All the stuff I say every day anyway. I just wanted it on paper, just so they'd have it. Yeah.
Even though, you went through everything with massive positivity. You had your cancer diaries, which helped so many people going through it, but also friends and family members of people going through it. Even, I think, people who have been through it before, that retrospect kind of, that their experience being out there in the world, or a version of their experience. That's a lot for you to carry at a point where there must have been really big thoughts like, what if? Do you feel like what ifs are something that you just can't give energy to?
Mark and I had one big what if conversation. So we got to the point where we knew the cancer was treatable. And at some point bizarre. I fell off a Segway and hit my head. and afterwards we had a conversation about it. I was like, did I black out? Did I faint? So we told Dimitri, one of the doctors, and he said, okay, I think we need to do a brain scan. And then I was like, oh my God. So they did it in our local NHS hospital. And Mark and I went home. And I said, right, we need to talk about this in case they ring and it's not good news. I said, Mark, you're going to have to sell the house. And he was like, we're not having this conversation. We're not having this conversation. I said, it helps me if we plan. This is what you need to do. Sell the house, do this, do that, do that. It was like, I don't want to talk about this. I said, please, let's just sit down. So we did. We sat at the kitchen table and we had that conversation.